Hi, welcome to the channel, Budget Audio Review and Upgrades. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Celestion CS5 speakers. These use the same drive as the Celestion Ditton 33 speakers, just in a kind of different arrangement, got a different cabinet and a different crossover inside. But other than that, they are similar-ish, I suppose you could say. Now, I was pointed in the right direction to these by Ditton Works. He's got his own channel. He used to work for Celestion many years ago. And he said, maybe these worth me picking up locally. These were advertised locally to me, less than a mile away actually. Maybe I should go around and have a look and maybe get them. So I did just that. And today I'm actually going to let you listen to these in action. Hopefully, give you an idea of maybe what they sound like. I mean, obviously you can't get it exact, but I'm going to do a recording towards the end of the video. I'll come to that later. But yeah, I went round the bloke's house and he had them there. Give me a very, very quick demo of them. Basically, he just had a little Pioneer amp, and in his hallway, so to speak, I heard him. Listen to the tweeter, and that seemed all right. So he wanted £100 here in the UK from, but I managed to knock him down to £80. They've got a few marks, a few scratches on top, etc. But other than that, where you're going to pick up another pair from. So I picked them up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take them apart, show you inside, show you actually what's in there, and we'll progress and tell you a little bit more about them as we go along. I did attempt to actually do a video of me actually undoing these, but it got a bit awkward. My hands got in the way, the light in the camera weren't in the right position and all that, and I thought, it's not bad, but I want you to get a good clear look of actually how they look rather than things getting in the way. So I've gone back to the picture routine now. So here they are on the table, and as you can see there, I've got the bass driver out just sitting on top on the reverse kind of way round there. So if we have a look at the bass driver, as you can see, it's marked up SA5999 Roller Celestion Limited. Now this speaker is used in the Ditton 33s and the CS5s, and this is a 10-inch woofer, bass driver, whatever you want to call it. So there you can see, if you just have a look there, I'm going to show you this, the actual spider of it and the connections going to the actual cone there. You can see nice close up of that. And as you can see where it come out, from the actual cabinet, there's plenty of padding, wadding, whatever you want to call it, foam there they use. There's plenty of that there. And as you look there, you can see the wires there going to the mid-range. Now this, the seal was broken, they're broken on both speakers, so I'm going to sort all it out when I kind of refurbish these a little. You can see where the wires go in, and even the bottom seal at the bottom of that tube it looks broken. It's like an hard cardboard tube, similar-ish to what I've got in what I used to have in my Wolfdale Delta 90s. It's kind of like but it's a thicker kind of cardboard tube. It's not hardboard, it's cardboard tube in here. And as you can see, there's the mid-range speaker taken out of the actual tubing. This is marked up as an SA6001. And this is found apparently, going to a little bit of research now, in the Ditton 22s, the 33s, the CS5s and the CS7 seems to use this mid-range. This is a 5-inch mid-range. And as you can see, there's plenty of wadding where it's come out from. It literally comes out near, it's just about enough room for the speaker to go in, and the wadding goes all the way down that actual tube to the bottom, right down the bottom now. Okay, there's just another little view of that actual speaker there, so you can see it from a different angle. Okay, now this is the tweeter out, and this tweeter here is actually used in the Ditton 22s, 33s and the CS5s, and this is where it sits. And as you can see, it's padded in there, but it's a bit more on the hollow side there, so that's where the tweeter sits. And let's have a little look at the crossover, and there you can see the crossover, and as you can see, there's quite a lot involved in this crossover in this speaker. If we have a quick look, you've got 4 inductors, 1 resistor and 5 capacitors. Okay, so that's the speaker shown there. If we just do a quick measurement of this speaker for anyone interested, it's 22 inches in height, it's 13 inches across and 10 inches in depth. So now let's see actually what I thought about it. Okay, so what do they actually sound like? Well, I pretty much had them in near enough the same position they are now. I'm actually going to give you a recording of these in action with a few tracks, and maybe you can comment maybe later on. These tracks will be at the end of the video, so you won't have to listen to them, then come back to me. I'll kind of finalise it, then leave them tracks at the end and you can listen to them. Then these are off the YouTube library, and let me know if they're appropriate kind of tracks, and would you like more length to them? I didn't want to overdo it, so you're listening for hours on end or whatever. Just just a brief kind of sound test, so to speak. But what I'm going to do here, you see, is I've got them as they are. Now, when Kevin come round and we actually listened to these, when he come round, we had a little chat. This is from Ditton Works. First thing he noticed was the tweeter. He said that tweeter should just be a little bit more bright, should be a little bit more to it, and he nudged up the treble about 2 little notches on the amplifier we was using, and it sounded quite nice, and it's probably where it, it's probably right there. It's probably right to where it should be, kind of thing. Like, when he did it first of all, I thought, he knew straight away, kind of thing. And it's took me a few days to listen to these to kind of think, he's right there. That's where it should sound. So, and we discussed it and said that, probably all these capacitors, they're very old now, this speaker, and there's 5 of them in there as well. They could all do with changing. So that's what I'm going to do. But I'm going to give my impressions of these as you would go and probably buy them now. If you see a set, etc., they're not going to have new capacitors probably fitted. So it's how you're going to get them. I'm going to give you a sound test of that as well. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to order some new capacitors. I'm going to fit them. Then I'm going to listen to them again and see what differences they actually make, if any, or how it goes. And I'm going to give you another listen to them, same tracks, at the same distance, same camera, everything the same volume, everything the same amplifier, and maybe you can make up your mind as well. Hopefully, it may come across in that recording, but that's at a later date. It won't be too long, but I will do that. Okay, so as I've got them there, as they stand, as you're probably going to go and buy them, if you want to sell in someone's house or got them off of eBay, etc. How did I find these? Obviously, I've done quite a few amplifiers with them, a few CDs, records, a normal kind of setup I do to kind of get a good idea, same kind of things I listen to all the time, how they actually sound. First thing you're going to notice, these are loud. These got a big sound to these speakers, like, got a big 10-inch driver there. I don't actually know what the sensitivity of these are, maybe someone will know, but these seem pretty high, like, these are definitely 90, maybe a bit higher than that, because I'm only going by the amplifiers I use, and I didn't really have to crank up the volume much to get these to really sound loud. Like, these were a loud sounding, big sounding speaker. So first of all, let's go about the kind of space of them, etc. These the space, the overall space is kind of between the 2 speakers. They didn't really breach out much further than that, but like I say, they've got a big sound. There wasn't a lot of depth to it. It's fairly spatial in between the 2 speakers. But unlike some speakers, I had like the what's it called, Mordant Short 35 Ti's. I've got 2 versions of them, and the Mark 1s had quite a lot of space, like quite a lot of depth to them, quite an airy kind of sounding speaker. Well, these are not. There's plenty of space between them, but I won't call them an airy sounding speaker. But these are clear sounding speakers. These sounded really, really clear, like, it's quite a lot of detail in them and very clear. So they were quite good. And like I say, I'm going to get these capacitors, and hopefully they're going to even improve that even more. The bass was nice. It had quite a nice bottom rounded end to it. It weren't, it's tightish. If it needed to be tight with the drums, etc., it can be, kind of thing. But it kind of like a rounded kind of sounding bass. The drum kit was very detailed. The drums, you could kind of feel every drum there. Got a big speaker here, which is going to help. With that drum. And, it wasn't muffled or anything like that. It wasn't constrained or anything like that. It played its part and it done it well. Like, so, I was impressed by the drum kit. It's kind of a pleasure listening to the drum kit. You could get involved with the drum kit. The lower end was just a little bit thuddy at times. It could be just a little bit thuddy. Like I say, once we change these capacitors, and that may just help that out a little bit as well. But I'm not too concerned about that. Bass-wise, I was very pleased with it bass-wise. This was okay bass-wise. The mids were clear, they're detailed. Now, on low volumes, I'm talking about, not too loud, reason, comfortable listening level kind of thing, comfortable, like, they sounded nice, they sounded really nice. But what I noticed, and the pianos, the strings, all that kind of sounded really nice, you can get into it, and it sounded really, really nice. Just noticed when we started turning the volume up a bit, and I think I picked this up on a few other channels, and I think it's a great way of maybe expressing how they sound. The mid-range, it kind of started to shout a bit, like, it sounded a bit more mid-rangey than it should do, and started to shout a little bit. And the higher you turn that volume, the more that was apparent as well, like, it just seemed to go a bit more further than it should do, a bit louder than it should be. Now this hopefully is going to be like tightened up and kind of put back into, maybe where that mid's going a bit too high, you're going to bring it back down and put it more like level with the other kind of, the bass and the tweet are going to bring it back into spec or focus or whatever. Hopefully that's going to help changing these capacitors, so only time will tell on that. But other than that, it's still okay, just shouted a little, just a little bit of, kind of like a shouting, just a bit too, a bit too high maybe. So if we go to the eyes, now the eyes were detailed. There may be a little tad rolled off this little bit. I mean, I'm going to play you these tracks later on. I've listened to them and it sounds there's quite a lot of treble there, but to me, it just, on certain tracks, it could do with more. And like I said, Kevin come round from Ditton Works and he tweaked, just turned that treble up two little notches. Obviously, it's going to bring up the mid range a little bit. It's going to affect that a little bit, but it just made, you know, I did that and it made it sound just that much nicer. You know what I mean? Even though I was still bringing up the mid-range, that mid-range didn't seem to shout so much. It kind of just helped it out a bit because you're hearing that treble coming and you're hearing that fine detail coming in, like, you know, say playing the cymbals and all that and the brushes and all that kind of etc. The shimmering kind of sounds and all that. You know, that was coming into it and you was picking up that more, and it was kind of taking away from the kind of shoutiness of the mid-range. Like I say, it ain't bad, but you know, it is there. It's a little bit, it seems to be shouting just a little bit the mid-range. Like I say, the treble's a little bit rolled off. You did have to, you know, really, you know, say turn that 1 or 2 degrees, 1 or 2 notches, should I say, on the treble control, just to bring it up and help it out. So yeah, I think once we recap these, it's going to bring that treble back into where it should be. Maybe tone down that mid-range just a little bit, and it may, you know, just help out the bass a little bit. Like, there's 5 capacitors there, so I think, you know, changing 5 of them on each board is going to make a bit of a difference. So that's what I'm going to do. So at the moment, as they stand, they're still a very nice speaker. You know what I mean? I'm very pleased with them. They sound nice, they're clear, you know, they're quite, you know, they're detailed, they're clear. Just a little bit lost on the treble maybe, and a little bit, like I say, shoutiness on the mid-range at higher volumes. But if you've got them at a comfortable level, they sound quite nice, you know what I mean? They do sound quite nice. So this will be part 1 maybe. We'll come back at a later date and have a little look at Vexy, how that crossover, changing them capacitors, what it actually did, if it actually did anything at all. So that's it really. I'll say thanks for watching. I will be coming back with some other bits and pieces. Until then, I'm going to leave you with that little bit of music at the end now. You can skip through, give some comments on what you think, if they're the right tracks, if they're long enough, etc., and what you thought about the tracks. Until then, I'll say thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon.